I love it. So good. I was trying to delay a little bit because one of our presenters just texted me and they're going to be a wee bit late. So I was like, unless you want me to be doing charades in the middle of it, maybe we'll just slow the timing of this a little bit. But I think we are good to go. We do have Zoom right now, plus our room of, I don't know, 30 plus. We are winning. Thank you. Well, welcome to our quarter 4 donation meeting. We made it through 2022. We're back in person for most of us, and we're doing great. We are currently at 124 members, so our donation tonight will be $12,400. Super exciting. As we've done in past, we will be going through, our sponsors. Fairmont. Here, Encore as well, Whistler Creative did all of our signs. Everything you see has been free of charge. We are so fortunate, so lucky to have some amazing sponsors so that all of our dollars from your donations get to go straight to the organization. So we have 124 members and all $12,400 goes directly. So I'm super proud of that. So round of applause. We are going to go through our donations since the beginning. This was requested by quite a few members to, at the beginning of every meeting, go through so it can just kind of remind you what we have supported in past. So Zero Ceiling was our inaugural donation. Then we had the Lilwat Nation Youth Center. Then we had Families Fighting Cancer in the Sea to Sky, Whistler Arts Council, Howe Sound Women's Center Society, the Kelty Patrick Dennehy Foundation, Whistler Healthcare Foundation, the Squamish Lilwat Cultural Center, the Whistler Community Services Society for their Together Outreach Appeal, Sea to Sky Hospice Society, Whistler Adaptive Sports Program Society. We did an extended giving option. So we had a few members reach out and ask us if we could just present to our members if they were interested to put in another $100. And we grouped that together and we had $2,800 for the Canadian Red Cross for the floods in BC. Then we did the Whistler Museum and Archive Society, Whistler Children's Chorus, which I believe is happening soon. December 17th, that's when their performance will be. So very excited to see that come to fruition. Then we did another extended giving option for the Canadian Red Cross through the Ukraine Humanitarian Crisis Appeal. And then our last meeting, which was Whistler Animals Galore. So that's where we're at so far. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of all of these donations. All of the organizations are so overwhelmed when we present to them and are so happy and just love that this organization is here to just be something extra in the community, not another, can't think of the word, another thing that they have to apply for, put in all of these documentations. It's something where they feel they can come and just present as themselves and speak to human or Zoom screen to Zoom screen for a while in there. So thank you so much. Unfortunately, I also just got a text from this presenter, and she is not able to make it this evening. The highway just didn't seem like a good option for her to drive, so we're going to hear from them in February at our first meeting of 2023. So there's my other 5 minutes gone. So I thought we could talk just a little bit about restarting in January. So we're going to have everybody who's a member now, you'll have the option to renew your membership. So that gives you the opportunity to place a new nomination for a new organization and also to share with your friends and family and bring some more members in. We have 124, but there is no limit on how many members we can have. And I'm sure there are people out there that you know of that would be interested. So as we redo the process in January, I would love it if you would just take a moment to sort of think about the people in your life that you know that would be interested in this sort of thing. Cool. And now the big one, organizations. Help me, please help me. It would be surprising. Most people are very surprised to hear that we have a lot of organizations that deny their nomination or just aren't interested. So I would love it if some of our members could do some of the legwork for us. Reach out to organizations that you know of, maybe not some of the big ones, the smaller groups that are looking for projects. You know, the soccer association wants to build something, the skating association somebody brought to me today. So if we could have our members help us with this legwork, reach out to these people, reach out to these groups that you know, tell them about our group, tell them that we're looking, and maybe we can have some new faces in front of us. Does that make sense? Deb is happy to help. Everybody heard that, so I'm going to take advantage of that for sure. But I just think a lot of people don't really realize that it's not as easy as just grabbing a name off a list and emailing, and then it just goes straight through. We had 3 people cancel for this meeting, 1 on Monday, so it's not as easy as it seems. Yes, Deb. There isn't an application process. The way we have done it in the past is that a member nominates an organization. So we have the drop-down list, and that list comes from the Societies Act of BC. And so if they're a registered society, they're on that list. And then you have the option at the bottom to put other. And I've had a few people put in some organizations. The organization we had last quarter, I can't think of the name of them, the senior, somebody, MAC, thank you. Mature Action Community Society. I had never heard of them before. They were not on any of our So that's just a great example of learning about new organizations in our community or smaller organizations that don't come up on your Google search sort of thing. And so that's kind of what we need to do moving forward, is do talking. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Totally. Yeah. So what we have planned to do for 2023 is send out all of our applications and I know we had said that it's not another application that the organizations have to do, but it's not as encumbersome as some of the ones that they have to do. It's just filling out a form, showing that they're interested, putting down what their project is, and then we're going to pick all 12 organizations for the whole year in January so that we aren't going through the ebb and flow of people canceling, not being interested, that sort of thing. So hopefully that'll clean up a lot of this last minute cancellations and such and so forth. Some of the canceling has been personal issues that I don't have any control over. But then when they cancel, so somebody cancels, say, a week before, then I'm reaching out to organizations with only a week's notice. So we had 2 organizations just say straight up no because it's not enough time for them. One of our organizations tonight, the gentleman who is going to be late with this exact thing, he got notification on Monday, right? So it's just, pardon? I think so. And then there have been some that are just not interested. They say that they have the funding that they need at the time. What our most nominated organization has denied their nomination 4 times because they say that they don't need it and they don't want to take it, which is great. I'm glad that they do that for sure. But that's another thing. So reaching out to these organizations and finding out, do you need funding right now? Just because they're a nonprofit organization doesn't always mean that they need the money, I guess. Some it has to be in the sea to sky. Yeah. The organization doesn't have to be in the sea to sky. The project does. That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm sure there are lots out there that I don't know of. So I'm hoping that we can use all of our different circles to start digging these up because I know that there are projects that people are wanting to put forward that we can help with. Totally. Yeah. Another thing is that they have to be able, so the tax receipts for us, so we do ours through charitable impact. So what I call it is they need to find an umbrella organization. If they're not able to give us tax or not able to be tax receipt certified for charitable impact, then we find an umbrella. So Whistler Community Services has been an umbrella for us. Sea to Sky Community Services has been an umbrella. Squamish Little Walk Cultural Center has been an umbrella for us. So there are definitely ways around it for sure, but I think that some organizations maybe think that's a barrier for them. So getting that communication out as well, that there are ways around that. Yeah, for sure. Chitty chat. Does anyone else have any other questions? Because this would be a great time to kind of go with them. Does anyone have any questions about their membership or yes? Yes. Yes, please. Yeah. So I'm going to put through Ruth at Whistler Creative is working on the back end of getting that form up. And it'll just be an email to all of the organizations that we've donated to in the past that have been on our nomination list. And then if we can get any, and I will send out an email in January at the beginning saying we're looking for new nominations, organizations, send them to me and we'll get the info out there. And if you have their email, if you have their contact name, that sort of stuff, if you can do that legwork for me as well, it just saves a step, right? Yes. Yeah. I was just talking with somebody about that. Yeah. Share it, right? Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah. That had the last minute. Yep. Yep. Right. Yeah. The time. Yeah. Some people have said that. I don't, the time isn't there. Some people have also just said, I don't need the money. So it's both for sure. And it's never malicious. It's never in a negative way. They're just being honest about it, which is fine. But it's just a hurdle that I think myself and a lot of our members were shocked to hear about or, come into contact with. It took me by surprise the first few times it happens. And now it's just consistently happening. So we're going to adjust and change for sure for 2023. So if anyone does have any other ideas after this meeting, after, it's kind of gone in your brain a little bit and you've thought about it overnight, email me anytime with opinions or ideas. I'm always open to them. Yes. Yeah. I won't be sharing them. Yeah. It's supposed to be a draw for you to come. Another thing too, maybe some of our new members don't know this. We gave the option last year, which I was like a hard no against at the beginning, to pay your fee or your donations for the entire year. That was something I never wanted to do. When I first started this group, I reached out to some other 100 people organizations, and they said if you take the money before, people won't come because they've already put their money in. So it was something I really held on to. but I had so many people asking, and you have to respect that too. If somebody is just interested in placing the money for the donation, that's great too. It's not what the sole purpose of 100 Women Whistler was, but you can ebb and flow. So we've done that now. We've changed and evolved into that. So there's more change to come for sure too. And we are still hoping to have some sort of an event or a dinner. We just have to get more people here to be able to move forward with something like that. Cool beans? Get your people here next time. Yeah. But like looking out and half of the chairs are filled is just great. Yes. We did have that at the beginning. And I found that RSVPs changed day of. And so I'd have a list of however many, and it would change. But yes, I did do that at the beginning to keep people more accountable for it for sure. And for 2023, maybe we'll go back to doing that because we did have so much more attendance before. So maybe having those sorts of things would help. I'll make a note to. Basically, COVID killed us. It really took the wind out of our sails. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to take time for sure. So hopefully the new year 2023 with everybody's new membership, that's a new signing on. So usually, people who aren't as interested by the end of the year kind of fall off, and that's totally fine. And we can start with a new group in 2023 with a better, clearer plan for how we want to go. Boom. This is my favorite person in the room. Diana wins. Everybody's been here since the beginning. That was our second meeting. We did that, bring a friend, and everyone. I was like, if we had 130, I think, members or something, and I was like, if we so our numbers have kept consistent for the donations, which is the most important part. I have to underline that for sure. But it would just be nice to have more people in the room because seeing the presentations and interacting with the presenters is so important. And I will say that the majority of the time, my vote that I think is going to happen at the beginning changes by the end, right? And I think a lot of people are shaking their head that that's happened to them. So it's important. Okay, are we good? David, I was kind of postponing. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we are going to jump right into our presentation. Our first one here is Whistler Community Services Society, and I will ask for Dave to come forward. And if anyone's wondering, if they see the WCSS on there and they're like, wait a minute, didn't we just donate to them? So what we did with WCSS, because we had so many nominations for them, but people wanted to specifically nominate programs. So I reached out to Jackie, who's their executive director, and she picked 5 programs that she felt for 2022 needed the most help and put those on the nominations. So they had 5 nominations in the list. Does that make sense? Cool. So Dave's going to tell us about Food Bank.
I was told I need to stand very close to the microphone so that others can hear on Zoom. My name's Dave Clark. I use the pronouns he and him. And I grew up on the lands of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation in North Vancouver. I've lived for 22 years on the unceded territories of the Squamish Nation and the Lil'wat Nation in the resort we now call Whistler, and it's home. I work for Whistler Community Services Society, and it's an honor to be here with all of you tonight. I'm here to speak about food security and a program that our food bank is very heavily involved in. It's called the Holiday Helper Program. It's been called the Holiday Hamper in some years past, but really it's a program about building equity in our community and supporting families that come upon financial restrictions, particularly around the holiday season. It's a collaboration between our food security team, which runs the food bank and other food security programs, and our outreach team, who handles the programs around mental health and wellness for members of our community. And the goal of it is to allow every family in Whistler to create celebrations that become memories that will last for a lifetime. For some of us, those kinds of celebrations just happen. Our family gathers, we have lovely meals together, we may have some gifts. The things that we take forward are those times that we spent with our closest loved ones. Not everybody has that opportunity to pull that together. The donation from the 100 Women of Whistler, or 126 Women of Whistler, would help support the food portion of the holiday hamper program. Demand for the program is up 100% from pre-pandemic days, 2019. And that demand is driven by numerous things, some that won't be a big surprise that we hear about all the time: cost of housing, right? Not just in Whistler, but it's across the country and around the globe. But here at home, that cost of housing is a big determinant in the factor of financial instability. Inflation, we've all heard this so much the last 9 months. 2022 has been a year of inflation that we've seen, or haven't seen, I should say, since the early 1980s. Food costs alone are way, way, way up. Food is now the second biggest budget item in a family. Falls well short of shelter, but it's the second biggest. And in British Columbia, food costs have gone up 16.9% in the last year. So for the average family of four, that equates to about $160 a month. So for a financially restricted family, that's a lot of money. Sort of to bring a little bit into perspective and understanding why we're seeing so many financially restricted families in our community, some key stats to share. Our food bank, pre-pandemic, saw about 250 to 300 visits a month. The last 6 months, we've averaged 1,000. And in November, we are working our way towards 1,500 visits in the food bank. We're not quite at the end of November, and we're not quite at that number. But if we hit that number of 1,500, we will have eclipsed the busiest months at the beginning of the pandemic. March, April, May 2020, when we were seeing 1,400-ish. Why? There's so much pressure on the incomes of our families in this community that more and more and more they are identifying as being financially restricted. Going back to the Holiday Helper program, which is what we want to talk to you about tonight, and if we are the lucky recipient of a donation from this lovely organization, it will go towards the Holiday Helper program and specifically the food portion of that. The Holiday Helper program gives families gift cards to purchase food, purchase treasures for their children and other loved ones. It also includes donations from various businesses and individuals from around town who may be part of it. Last year, the Holiday Helper program helped 73 different families in this community have celebrations over the holiday time frame. This year, we've had 53 families sign up already, and it's a month until Christmas. We have a budget to do 60. Our hope every day is that we can help anybody who walks through the doors of Whistler Community Services, and the Holiday Helper program is no different. But a donation from this group of people would allow us to help anywhere between 20 and 40 additional families have those celebrations and make those memories and have those special times over the holidays. These people who receive our holiday hampers are the people next to us in grocery stores. Those gift cards that they get in it give them dignity to go out and shop for the items that they would like to have on their dinner table for a celebration. It allows them to purchase the special gift for their child that year. It's a huge, huge help to those who make this resort run and bring the magic of Whistler to life. That can't be underestimated. It's our neighbors. It's the people we sit next to on the bus. It's the person we see next to us at the pump at the gas station. It's anybody and everybody, and it could be any of us in this room as well. I'd like to thank you for your consideration, WCSS, as a recipient of these funds. If we were to win the nomination for this or win the election for this, I can promise you that those monies will be stewarded and get into the hands of the people who need it most in this community. I'd also like to thank you for previous donations that we have received from this organization, and also like to extend my gratitude to you for all of the work you do for all nonprofits in this community. Nonprofit organizations, whether they're for social services or the arts or culture, are the backbone of our communities. And without people like yourselves, that work wouldn't happen. Thank you. This would be specifically for the hamper program, yeah, which is a program through the food bank, yeah, yeah, and our outreach. It's, yeah, joint collaboration. Not necessarily a set amount per hamper. It goes into the number of people in a family. Most families are 4 on average, and it's usually about $400 per hamper if we wanted to do an average, but it could be $200 if it was a smaller family, a single parent with 1 child. It could be $600 if it was a larger family. Any other questions? Well, the biggest misconception about who visits the food bank in Whistler. Well, I can speak from my own experience of being in that building, and it's to what I spoke about earlier. There are biases that we carry, every one of us, myself included, of who fits into a certain stereotype or a certain part of our community or our culture. And those are things that we've learned through our lives, of things that we've seen, things that we've been told. So the biggest misconceptions that I hear, I'll be totally honest, and this may not sit well with some people, but the things that I hear, it's the ski bums that don't want to work. That's the misconception. The reality of those 1,500 people walking through, they're not ski bums. They're people who have fell upon hard times for a variety of reasons. They're people that are living in houses of 16, paying $1,500 a month to share a sofa bed, making $18 an hour. Our wages do not keep up with the cost of living, and that can be a whole other discussion. I'm not here to advocate for higher wages or anything, but the reality is that there are more people than we could ever imagine, I could have ever imagined, that require the services of a food bank, and it's getting more and more. Does that answer your question? Great. There are, and we could talk about that. We actually just had a meeting about this yesterday, actually, because our food bank specifically is almost a capacity of what we can operate with as far as volunteers, limitations on space and time and staff time and things like that. But there are things that people can do for sure. So if we want to talk separately about opportunities there, for sure we can do that, or feel free to give a call into the office and we can talk more about it, for sure. Yes, we're still in the process of what the position is. Sure, okay, put my HR hat on. We are, and I can't tell you all the details because I work from home fundraising. And Jackie was meant to be here tonight, and she'd be able to answer every question very eloquently. But she is home with a sick child tonight, so I've come in to answer. But we are looking for a food security worker. That role, in a very small nutshell, is working in the food bank, doing food recovery. So that's recovering food from grocery stores where it's at or past its best before date, but we know there's significant shelf life still. That's where a lot of our fresh produce and things comes from for the food bank. So it's a lot of working with the food recovery program, bringing it in, preparing the food bank for its market style shopping experience for all of the clients that come in. It's working with donations from partners. It's ordering food supplies from our suppliers and things from around the Lower Mainland. So in a nutshell, that's the position. Yes. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the correlation between food insecurity and mental health. Mental health challenges, I should say. We all have mental health. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, right? But food insecurity, food is a primal need. And when we go without that, or shelter, or love, and connection and dignity, our mental health suffers, right? So, but food being one of those very primal needs, absolutely is a determinant of poor mental health or mental health challenges, for sure. So, to answer your question, there's many things that we do to try to get the word out. The very best thing that we can do is, as a community, come together, and that's why we have Together shirts, right? Together shirts, Together hats. This is together. We're talking about what the systemic and social challenges are in our community. And now we've got this group of people that can maybe go out and tell their friends. Like Ashley said, let's bring one more friend into the conversation, right? Let's tell more people it's not the ski bum that's standing in line waiting to get a can of beans at the food bank. Okay.
Zoom people, can you hear us? Can somebody put their screen on and just give me a thumbs up? Thank you. I would like to welcome our next presenter. We've got Stephen here from the Point Artist Run Center. He's going to tell us a little bit about his program. Come on.
Thanks so much for having me. This is a really great program and organization that I didn't know about in the past. It's really wonderful. I'm kind of nervous because I feel like I'm on a reality TV show or something. My name is Stephen Vogler, and I'm the founder and artistic director of the Point Artist Run Center. We operate out of the Heritage Lodge on the shore of Alta Lake across the valley. The organization started in 2009 with a dinner. I'd invited a number of artists from various backgrounds and disciplines who saw the need for a creative center that would provide affordable work and live work spaces, offer educational and mentorship opportunities, and encourage collaborative projects between artists within Whistler as well as outside of Whistler to share with the general public. We knew that the Whistler Hostel, who owned the building, was selling it to the municipality. So we got together, created a nonprofit society in 2010, and presented a little 5-page proposal to the municipality. And surprisingly, they actually let us start operating the following year, just renting the space in 2011. We did some Saturday open houses with live music and a few cafe items. We did our very first children's expressive arts camp. And that year we had a whopping budget of $2,600 in our first year. The following year we added the Flagstaff Theater and Arts Festival with live original theater. We commissioned theater works, plays, scripts, and local and visiting actors bring in mentors to work with them. And we do the live theater on the floating stage on Alta Lake with the audience on the shore and on the porch of the lodge. And we added more children's camps that year. And we continued to grow. And now we host about 2,500 people each year through various programs, dinner shows, with 7 or 8 children's theater, music, and art camps, adult theater mentorship program, arts festivals, and we have a budget of well over $100,000, which took a hit during COVID and kind of dropped in half, but it's built back up almost. We're getting there. Something we're really proud of is that 40% of that budget returns to artists and artist instructors for the work that they do. And that's a big part of what we're trying to do, is to knit arts activity into the economy. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Dave's wonderful presentation there, all I can say is that we're trying to support starving artists so they don't end up in your amazing program. Our mission statement is to provide affordable work and live work space for artists, to provide educational and working opportunities, and to knit the arts activity into the economy. And while we've continued to grow over the years, we've never had any security. We've been operating for 12 years, but we've always been renting. We never know if how much longer we're there. We had a bit of a scare last year, a year ago, where the municipality decided to renovate the building. And we thought that we might be losing our venue. It was quite traumatic. But what we thought began as a crisis turned into an opportunity. And we ended up negotiating over the last few months a 5-year, a longer-term operating agreement to be there with renewal terms. And so that is really exciting, and it is to be signed next week, which is why this opportunity was really timely and auspicious, because this will allow us to expand what we're doing by renting a few programs. But one is the upstairs artist studios. We can begin renting, providing more space for artists, and there's a real need for that in Whistler and the Sea to Sky. And also launch our Artist in Residence program in the adjacent cabin, which is used by different arts groups. The Whistler Writing Society, the Squamish-Lil'wat Cultural Center has had artists in there. But now we can get our own program going, which we would like to do as soon as possible this winter, spring. We have a few months to get these things going. They will help to drive revenue so that, because now we'll be covering the operating expenses of the property, which will alleviate that from taxpayers and gives us more autonomy to really do what we do for the artists and the community. So in order to launch those programs and other, we can do some more community and third-party events there. We need to hire we're going to start with a contract position, someone to set up the programs and work with me and others on our board. We have an 11-member board, primarily artists. And so we need to get this going as soon as we can. We have a few months where we can start the programs, and on April 1st, we begin paying our monthly expenses of the property. So we want to get on it now, and along with that position, which will then work into an ongoing part-time position, we also want to supplement our grant writing program. We have a really great grant writer, and the more we can expand that, the more we can make this an ongoing supporting system. Yeah, so that's how we could really use this funding right now to launch us into the 2.0, the next 12 and onwards years. And I just want to leave you with a little anecdote about a family that became involved with the point. They were the Florios, they originally from San Diego, traveling around in their RV from 2012, and they were all over North America, but they made it up to Whistler a few times as early as 2013, and they came out to the point and enjoyed the live music out on the back porch. And their kids they're a very artistic family. The kids started taking theater camps, and they came back every year for a bit, and then they finally decided to settle down, and they settled in Whistler. Now the oldest one has worked for us, assisting with the children's camps. Both the two oldest have been performed in the Flagstaff Theater and Arts Festival. Brett, the dad, is a really great musician, plays in a local band, the Courageous Mountain Rangers. And so they settled in Whistler. Brett joined our board last year, and I only learned later, he told me recently that the reason they chose Whistler is largely because of the authentic and original arts experience that they had at the point. Oh, breaks my heart. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and yeah, I'm glad to field any questions. Yeah, we do have a newsletter with about 1,000 people on the list, and I'd be happy to add you and all of you to it if you're not on it. And because we are a smaller organization, we don't have the ad budget, say, for each of our event. We had a great event on Saturday with C.R. Avery, an operatic or cinematic opera, and it was really well attended. But I hear that a lot. People, we could reach out more, and as we grow, I hope to, as our budgets increase, to be able to do that more. Yeah. Yes, she's our chair. Yeah. Yeah, so I think with the grant writing, just over the last 2 years, we're starting to receive a lot more grant funding, like from BC Arts Council. They really love us, and now we're reaching out to federal grants. So I think we can really expand our publicity, I hope, coming up. But our children's camps were really full all this summer, even though we're offering more each year. So but it's a sort of hidden gem over there. It's a bit, takes a little more energy to get people over there, I think. Yeah, sorry, what did you say? Yeah, Ira's been doing it for years, yeah, and really, really good instructors we have. A lot of them have their masters, like Ira in theater, Papa Josh Sir Heinrich in music, Audrey is an accomplished musician, and Cassandra Turmel does making art with nature. Yeah, I love employing those people. It's really great. Yeah. So to answer your first question, our revenue initially came a lot from the arts programming that we did, ticket sales, registrations. But as we've grown, we've started to rely more on grants, and that's expanding. So we would use the funds initially, as I said, for this contract position to launch the programs with us, and then for the grant writing program to source more funding to make sure we can keep the upstairs studios and the artist in residence program. So an artist in residence program, you're supplying them with housing, but also with living allowance. So yeah, and so we would use that to, if we can get this going within the next few months, and then have the additional funding to keep that program going, ongoing, like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say, I'd say 4 months. Yeah, yeah, and then once those things are going, there's revenue as well as grants. Like the studios will be revenue generating. Yeah. Yeah, so we've been trying to do this for years, but we haven't had the permission to do it. So we had Dave Petco in there last fall and into the winter working on his painting project for an exhibit at the Beaumont Gallery in Vancouver. And so it was a good trial situation. So we're going to start with just 2 or 3 of the rooms up there, and what we need to do is create a framework that, like an application process, and then a sort of a contract. So laying out the hours and that is a good question that I'm not at liberty to answer. Oh, there's one last one. Yeah, we rely on that heavily. And I think also we were just starting to get a broader recognition around town when COVID hit. So it's kind of like rebuilding a little bit right now. And we're just launching a new website over the next couple of weeks and getting more, yeah, good publicity. We work with Ruth Barrow as well from Whistler Creative. And we also collaborate with a lot of other arts organizations like the Whistler Writing Society and share knowledge back and forth. And it's a great network of arts individuals and groups out there. Thanks. Yeah, it's really been kind of a launch into a new phase. And like I have to thank BC Arts Council. They had some great funding during COVID to keep organizations like ours alive, because operations really plummeted, like everybody's activity. So that kind of helped to not only keep us going, but sort of push a little bit into the future. And then this, with the municipality going from this temporary rental agreement to committing to a long-term operating agreement is key as well. So yeah, it does feel like that. Thanks. Thanks very much.
Moving on. Oh, I'll leave this here. All right. I would like to welcome, we've got David here, and I want to say a special thank you because this is one that we're talking like 24 hours notice here, this one. So I really, really appreciate you making the time to come and present to us. And here you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David MacKenzie. My pronouns are he, him, and I am one of the search and rescue managers for Pemberton District Search and Rescue. Because that's quite a mouthful, in our organization, we shorten it down to what we call Pemberton SAR, SAR being search and rescue. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present to you as to why we are so deserving of your donation. I apologize for my late entrance as I was just attending our annual meeting of the corridor search and rescue groups with the RCMP, BC Ambulance Service, the BC Coroner Service, and BC Parks. The collaboration between our organizations is fundamental to our operations. Pemberton District Search and Rescue was founded in 1994 by a small group of Pemberton outdoor enthusiasts seeing a need for the growing number of recreationalists venturing out into the backcountry. Pemberton District Search and Rescue is comprised of a dedicated and committed group of volunteers who invest thousands of hours in training and operations each year. The team relies on donations to maintain a state of readiness and to conduct life-saving operations. The area we cover is one of the largest search and rescue coverage areas in the province, representing over 20,000 square kilometers. We cover from the coast west of Pemberton, south to Whistler, east to the head of Harrison Lake, and halfway to Kamloops. Pemberton SAR also fills in gaps where other teams do not have the capacity for certain disciplines, and as such, Pemberton Search and Rescue covers all of the Whistler SAR district for swiftwater-related calls. The Pemberton District Search and Rescue team is comprised of a diverse group of volunteers who invest countless hours away from family, friends, and work to train for and provide critical life-saving services to those in need. Our members are all trained in ground search and rescue techniques and emergency first aid. In addition, many of our members also participate in public education and specialized disciplines, such as helicopter external transport systems. Big word, you've probably seen people on the long line. It's on the news from North Shore Rescue all the time. It seems to be one of their specialities. We also do technical rope rescue, swiftwater, and mountain and crevasse rescue. Over the last couple of years, Pemberton SAR responded to a record number of calls for service, and that trend seems to be continuing. You might remember the mudslides on Highway 99 near Duffy Lake just over a year ago. Pemberton SAR led the search and recovery of several victims caught in the landslide. This took our members away from family, work, and friends for 4 consecutive 12-hour days, and that was just one task out of 75 last year. As our call volume has increased, so has the stress it's placed on our volunteer members. So we decided it was necessary to do a new member intake. We are currently interviewing 24 candidates, of which only 12 will be selected. The training for new members is very costly and time-consuming. Bringing on these new recruits places a burden of costs onto the organization, as it costs approximately $2,000 per member just to outfit them with a radio, helmet, uniform jacket, uniform pants, and other personal protective equipment. All of our members also provide much of their own equipment out of their own pocket, such as their ready packs, boots, winter boots, summer boots, navigation equipment, and other backcountry tools. Your donation will go a long way to ensuring our members are properly equipped and protected so they can do their job as a first responder. I am hopeful you would choose Pemberton District Search and Rescue as your charity of choice. Thank you. 30 currently. 12 more. We raise money ourselves. We've gotten donations from the Whistler Blackcomb Foundation almost on an annual basis to help supplement some of our equipment. So much of our equipment is specialized, be it swiftwater rescue equipment, the equipment that we use to hang off of helicopters, the climbing gear, the crevasse rescue gear, all of that sort of stuff is very technical and extremely costly. We also have response vehicles. We also have response boats. And all of those, because we in the SAR world, we have so many disciplines, and even though everyone is volunteer, the qualifications are all professional. So everyone has to maintain all the professional certifications. We have to get all the equipment. We have a building based out of the Pemberton Airport that we have a lease with the Village of Pemberton. And so all the operational costs of running that facility we handle ourselves. The only thing that we get when we do a task, we actually submit a report to Emergency Measures BC that oversees the SAR network in the province, and we can recoup some of the costs for that operation. Those costs never cover any of our initial equipment, doesn't cover any of our training. Right, doesn't our building, our insurance, I mean, even our own insurance to cover ourselves with operating our boats and our trucks and our equipment has gone up and up and up. And so everything is completely volunteer. Thank you. Yes. In years past as well, we've been eligible to apply through BC Lotteries for grants, but it's very specific. That's how we were able to buy our jet boat a few years back, and then we obtained another important piece of vehicle equipment. We're always cap in hand, you know, and it's year to year, and you know, we're very fortunate that you know, and even when we do tasks, if we brought family members out of the backcountry or someone we pulled out of a car that went over the embankment on Highway 99, they find out that it was SAR, and we're completely volunteer, so we do get a lot of donations through some of the families of people that we've helped in need. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I will just do a quick overview before we do our votes here. So we heard from 3 organizations: Whistler Community Services Society for their Holiday Helper, I think that's what you called it, program? No, Holiday Helper. Then from the Point Artist Run Center to launch 2 programs, their Day Studios and the Artist in Residence program. And then lastly, from the Pemberton District Search and Rescue, and that's for their help with their member intake and protective equipment costs that they are going to incur. Does anyone not have a ballot? Ooh, 1, 2. Courtney's coming around, I think, with ballots. Anybody on this side of the room that doesn't have a ballot? Okay, perfect. So we'll give it about 5 minutes. Zoom, I'm going to launch your poll. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Wait, I'm the only one who left. Okay, so thank you so much to all of our presenters, all super deserving. This is definitely the hardest part of the night for sure for me. I struggle with it, but that's okay. We're gonna go on anyways. All right, so tonight we have $12,400 going to. We have enough people to actually do a drum roll. The Pemberton District Search and Rescue. Come on up. Thank you. Come on up. All right. Well, I just want to say in closing, oh, if you haven't completed your donation, but I know everyone in this room has, right? Because Courtney made you before you walked in. But if you haven't, just go to our website, donate now button, click on that there, and it'll take you to the charitable impact site. I know it's not always a smooth process, and I apologize. I've spoken to them many times, but if you have any troubles, come my way and I will help you out. So since our beginning, we have donated now $181,100. Yay! And that's all just $100 each, an hour and a bit today because I yabbed for a really long time. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of this. And don't forget to tell a friend for next year. Okay? Oh, you have a And as always, I will reach out to the other two, but I always get the other organization's donation platform, and I provide that link to everyone when I email to say who the winner was. So if you would like to donate to either of the other organizations, you can do so via those links. Okay? Thank you. Oh, and the Mallard. If you're going to have a drink or a beverage, they've offered our members 20% off tonight. So go have a drink.